Welcome everyone in Dr. Sanchez's class of Emerging Issues in Human Resource Training here at Amberton University. My name is Ashley Hensley, and today I will be presenting a training video on the recruiting challenges of millennials in a nonprofit world and what tools, ideas, and recruiting techniques can be used to enhance these processes, specifically behavioral health organizations across the state of Texas. This training was designed for an audience consisting of HR professionals whom are a part of an HR consortium for community centers, specifically behavioral health organizations across the state of Texas. With that being said, realistically, this training would be presented as a collaborative or workshop style of training where HR professionals could share ideas and work through the many challenges that nonprofits currently face when trying to recruit millennials. For the purpose of this class, I will be presenting only scholarly research and information with some feedback from other HR professionals in this industry. The purpose of this training is to create and develop recruiting tools based on creativeness and research showing how the generational cohort of millennials works and thinks and why they choose one employer over another, specifically a nonprofit organization. What appeals to this group of individuals and what makes them stay with an employer. So, the topics to be discussed today. First, introduction. Historically, nonprofit behavioral health industries across Texas have offered lower salaries due to lack of funding, and the mental health population within our communities is suffering as a result. Many governmental entities are stuck in antiquated systems and outdated processes, and it is hindering their ability to recruit millennial applicants and retain existing employees. Next, applications. As a result, it is important that HR professionals research this generational cohort in order to work with management internally so that evidence-based outcomes can be brought to light. Challenges. There are many trials that nonprofits face when recruiting millennials, and they will be comprehensively analyzed throughout the presentation, such as external threats, for example, competition in the private industry, stagnant funding and cost of living increases, rural town living not appealing to millennials, and internet threats. For example, older generations working longer, no room to move up the career ladder, millennials get bored easily, and many other obstacles alike. Methodologies. The methodologies and tools researched will be reviewed next. Efficient, cost-effective, and creative recruiting strategies proven to be successfully used on the millennial generation will be revealed, as well as how they can be implemented into the nonprofit world. Literature review. The literature review will include an all-inclusive synopsis of the research conducted, displaying realistic illustrations and their importance to recruiting millennials in a nonprofit organization. Results. It will then be essential to provide results driven by the research and methodologies alike. Discussion. To conclude the presentation, a thorough discussion will be presented to synthesize the research at hand and to recognize any potential limitations, weaknesses, and implications that HR professionals and organizational management should need to be aware of. Next, some questions to probe. What positions are you recruiting for? Depending on your target hire, determines the who, what, when, where, why, and how. For example, case manager, direct care, physicians, etc. Where are you recruiting? Company website, job fairs, social media, newspaper, recruiting firm, word of mouth, and workforce commission. When are you recruiting? What time of the day, week, year, etc. How are you recruiting? Visually, verbally, promotionally, etc. Why are you recruiting? Do you have vast amounts of job openings, high turnover rates, large number of older workers leaving the workforce, etc.? A little bit of history about recruiting in general. Recruiting and retaining employees was once a somewhat simple process. If we look back during the Great Recession, there was a large pool of applicants due to high unemployment rates, and the older population was not retiring and still very active in the workforce. Likewise, if we jump forward to the early 2000s, the stock market crash also eliminated the option for older generations to retire. Today, unemployment rates are roughly around 5%, and recruiting and retention is a challenge for all employers, but is it proven extremely challenging for nonprofits. Even more specifically, for nonprofits whom are in the behavioral health industry. Not only are unemployment rates up, but the number of qualified applicants is shrinking. Private industries are able to keep up with the economy. However, due to lack of funding, nonprofits and governmental entities are unable to keep up and compete. Across the state of Texas, nonprofits are stuck in antiquated systems and outdated processes, and it is hindering their ability to recruit applicants and retain existing employees. Existing employees leave as a result of taking on larger workloads, and burnout occurs, which may in return create unsafe working conditions, leaving employers faced with risk management nightmares. Next, we will look at the millennials. Who are the millennials? The millennials were born somewhere between 1981 and 2001. The many core values that millennials hold are they are very optimistic. They were brought up believing they are desired and indispensable. They think school is cool. They see themselves as leaders of change and believe in a better future. Civic duty is very important to this generational cohort. They were the first group of students to believe that civic duty was important to have in order to graduate high school or get into college. They are genuinely concerned with their surroundings on a local and global level and are involved in united acts to improve government and politics. Confidence. This is a very confident group. They don't believe in failure and they are terrified by it. They have been told they were special their whole lives and therefore can be perceived as arrogant. They are truly self-advocates. They desire achievement. They are very social, and they are amongst the most diverse generational cohort we've seen yet. They see the globe as one. This cohort is more culturally diverse than any other cohort yet. On the job. Assets. They believe in collective action. They solve problems in groups by gathering their peers on social media. They construct websites for fundraising and causes. Very optimistic. They have a lot of tenacity. This group has been the busiest generation thus far. Perhaps this was due to their helicopter parents. They have a very heroic spirit, multitasking capabilities, technologically savvy. Millennials are the first generation to be submerged in technology starting from their early childhood to now. They are continuously linked to everyone around them, including family, friends, and coworkers. Mark Prinsky calls them digital natives. They read manuals and share with their colleagues. They don't just surf the web, they inhabit it. Although they have a lot of great assets, they also have many liabilities. Millennials need supervision and structure. Millennials experienced the largest mass layoff in 80 years and have been scarred because of it. This perhaps might be the reason they are considered job hoppers and have struggled to find stability in their careers. They have a high demand for constant feedback, and they are known to be brought up by the helicopter parents who hovered over them their entire lives, guiding them in the direction they needed to go. They were raised by kinder, tender parenting styles and see their parents as heroes. Family events trump work. Next, we will look at a pie chart just to show the numbers of each generation within the workforce today. So if you'll look, you'll see that the blue in the top left, 27%, is the millennials, which is the largest generational cohort in the workforce today. Just below them would be the baby boomers with 26%. Now let's discuss the pool of applicants to be focused on. In the next 7 years, millennials will make up 75% of the workforce. Applications. Understanding how and why millennials think helps us apply abstract and practical applications to our recruitment strategies as nonprofits. We know what our limitations as an agency are, and therefore we must apply that to what we know about this cohort. With the right work atmosphere, millennials will thrive immediately. Urgency of communication from recruiters is crucial with this cohort, and they prefer text messaging as their means of communication. 93% are interested in hearing about new job opportunities at all times. 66% are interested in speaking with the recruiter. 44% want to leave their current job for another one within 2 years. This cohort is always looking for the next best thing. Culture and values is the most appealing attributes of a company for this group. They want to know what it's like to work for the company, and they want to truly understand the role in which they will be filling. Immediate response to applications is vital. For example, when they want to know when they will hear back from HR or someone from within the company once they have completed and submitted their application. They want you to just respond to them regardless, just to let them know that you did receive their application and that you are reading and overviewing their resume or their application or whatever it may be. Millennials will go to your social media site as an organization just to see if they even want to apply. 86% of active candidates use their smartphones to begin a job search. Millennials want to know if the company they work for will impact their communities around them. They want to work for a company that feels like a family. Millennials want to know if the company has clear career paths and if management supports and empowers them to do so. Ultimately, they want a coach, not a supervisor. As a result of these claims, it is extremely important that HR professionals and management teams of nonprofit behavioral health organizations modernize their recruiting strategies in order to connect and appeal to this generation. Now let's talk nonprofits and their recruiting challenges. Nonprofits today are expected to be flexible and reactive and make effective use of their limited funds. Stagnant state and federal funding sources and/or a lack thereof. Due to little or no funding, they are unable to offer competitive salaries and benefits to their employees. Uncompetitive compensation seems to be a big issue across nonprofit organizations in general. Starting low salaries just can't compete. Many struggle with internal equity as a result, and older employees may feel demoralized. Little or no funding inhibits their ability to market and bring awareness. Outdated and antiquated systems, outdated processes and procedures leads to long periods of time for hiring. Historically, at nonprofit centers of behavioral health, it takes very long time many steps are involved throughout the process, just from the approval process to the ability to hire an applicant. High turnover rates lead to significant losses financially and internally. Overworked and underpaid employees. Low morale leads to poor organizational culture. Competitive industry and economies of scale in the industry causing them to compete for resources of funding and human capital. Fundraising and charitable contributions are at an all-time low, leaving it nearly impossible to survive. Negative perceptions about nonprofits and a lack of understanding for their importance within their communities is at an all-time high. Difficulties in the hiring process depends on a number of variables. For example, If the agency is located in a rural area, it may be more challenging from one center to the next. Certain positions, such as psychologists, that are particularly high in demand, yet there is a shortage across the state. In the behavioral health field, many positions are required to work with difficult and hostile clients, irregular hours and shifts where staff may work overnight and weekends. However, they are in high need. Positions with specialized skill sets, LPCs, licensed professional counselors, psychiatric nurse practitioners, etc., can sit vacant for long periods of time, making it rather challenging for nonprofits. Some challenges of the research. Criterion contamination. Stereotyping and grouping individuals based on the years in which they are born contaminates validity and is merely just generalizations made about the majority. Criterion reliability. Results may be subjective in nature. Demographics and location vary from center to center. Criterion deficiency. Foundation of research on behavioral health nonprofits and not all nonprofits across the state are considered. Various amounts of information to be obtained and measured. Vast amount of information, various size of community centers across the state are used. Threats to validity. The number of applicants, or millennials in this case, pulled for information is unknown, may skew the data at hand. The internal management styles and/or corruption, company history that may exist or has existed within the behavioral health entities. Fiduciary irresponsibility that may or could have occurred within the nonprofit agency. Is the lack of funding due to internal actions? Growing demands for services within nonprofits. For example, there are large amounts of individuals that must be served, yet there is a lack of staffing and funding available. Tools and methodology. Research tools, scholarly sources, feedback from HR professionals of an HR consortium for behavioral health organizations across the state, millennial cohort feedback, which comes from the field research, and self-reported portfolio and/or experience. Methodologies. Primarily, this research will be qualitative with some quantitative research alike. Through the tools and methodologies used, we can see the true connection between the recruitment challenges of nonprofit behavioral health organizations and the largest generational cohort, millennials, in the workforce today. Literature review. The topic discussed is crucial to the overall health of Texas communities as the number of mentally ill individuals rapidly increases and the number of caretakers decreases. Recruiting strategies must be cost efficient as well as creative in order for community centers to sustain in the future. Trends used at community centers for recruiting, such as social media, print, media, etc., across the workforce will be stated. For the purpose of the research topic, the recruiter consists of the organization as a whole. Example, human resources, management, current employee, public relations, etc. The culture of community centers and what their mission is will transcend to the types of individuals they are recruiting. Nonprofits must embrace a new way of thinking and work as a network in order to sustain. The purpose of the literature review is to recognize why there is a need for behavioral health nonprofit organizations to beef up their recruiting strategies in a creative yet cost-efficient manner for the millennial generation so that a return on investment is seen and future sustainability may occur. Recruiting tools. So how do we attract this large group of individuals entering the workforce, and why is it important? Oh, and by the way, they aren't going anywhere for a long time. If we look at millennials specifically as our target hire, then where we are recruiting is crucial. With millennials, we must leverage social media. Some examples of recruiting tools may include company website, which is the most widely used amongst community centers in the state of Texas. We use testimonials from current and previous employees on our website, said Jennifer Bell of MetroCare Dallas. Job fairs. Connect with your local colleges and attend their job fairs to recruit students. Social media, newspaper, recruiting firms, word of mouth. Embrace social networking. It has always existed. However, today, with social media, it is instantaneous. Get with your local workforce commission. Some recruiting strategies. It may be as simple as a matter of job descriptions and how they are posted. Your titles may sound uninteresting or hard to understand. The position may be unenticing or over-described in itself. In other words, everything but the kitchen sink is stated. Using acronyms may be confusing as well, as most candidates have no idea what this means. Behavioral health industries are known for their acronyms, and we forget that a lot of times the applicants are not aware of what these acronyms mean. So we should steer away from using those or spell it out and explain it within that posting. Get ahead of the game. Notifying top management when someone is at the age of retirement so that younger employees, particularly your millennials, can begin succession planning. Enhance your benefits. Softer benefits can be very attractive to millennial candidates. For example, employee assistance programs, legal advice, wellness programs, etc. Re-examine your minimum qualifications. Are they out of date? Physical requirements such as heavy lifting may not be applicable anymore. Paperless reduces the need for lifting heavy boxes full of paper documents. Change your own expectations. For example, millennials are known to be job hoppers. We cannot change the way millennials act, but we can change how we react as employers, and therefore we must embrace it. In other words, we can identify ourselves as a training ground for entry-level, fresh out of college employees. After all, 2 good years is better than 5 bad ones with an employee. Grow your approach. Hire applicants that are working towards a higher education. Employers can shape and mold millennials, and after 2 years, they may have the ability to move into management positions within the agency. Recruit online and not just through the company website. Post short videos or podcasts that give a realistic preview of what it's like to work in the nonprofit world. For example, show what a typical day as a case manager might look like, and then have the employee give a testimonial such as, "I know I'm making a difference in their lives." Beef up the technology where you can. Many nonprofits are still paper-based. Internships and practicums. Use your internships and practicums with your local colleges as a training ground for younger employees. Meet millennials on their field. Go out and find them and meet them online instead of having them come to you. Sell your organization. Get millennials enthused about your organization. Get internal millennials to reach out to their peers. They know each other better than anyone. If you have internal millennials, have them get on social media and share with their friends about the positions and the opportunities that you have within your agency. Tell them about the technology you have to offer in your recruiting efforts. Millennials want to know what they will be working with. Tell millennials about the flexibility offered within your organization. For example, telecommuting. Less time on the road is an attractive benefit for millennials and all other employees alike. As an environmental advocate, millennials will see this as a green benefit. Work-life balance is extremely important to this generation. And last, involve their parents as much as possible. Let's talk social media. We must leverage social media. At the top, you'll see some statistics. LinkedIn was 73% use LinkedIn for job searching. 14% on Facebook, 1% on Twitter, 9% through professional or association social networking site, and 1% from Google. Traditionally, community centers have limited funding to negotiate salaries based on experience and education with job applicants, and therefore we must be creative in the recruiting process. Many applicants will come with years of experience. However, they have to come in at the same salary that someone who has no experience would be offered as well. So we have to find a way to make them want to work for the organization because of who we are and not what we can offer. So what can we do differently? We are a governmental entity, and this should be part of our culture and how we sell it. We can offer loan forgiveness, our retirement vesting with the state, helping others. It's a self-fulfilling job, and millennials want to be a part of the greater good. We are a training ground for entry-level, fresh out of college candidates. We offer flexibility in work-life schedules, and salaries aren't based on production. Leverage social media to build your brand. Create a unique identity. Social media can be used to bring awareness, specifically about mental illness, to our communities about who we are and what we do, and not necessarily serve as an advertising platform. Become a culture of choice. Create meaningful and personalized employee experiences and rewards. Find out what matters most to millennials. The culture of your organization starts at the interview. For example, if your mission is to make people laugh, then make that part of the interview process. Tell a joke or make them tell you a joke to see if they have a sense of humor and they will laugh. Have satisfied employees share their thoughts and experiences publicly. For example, Glassdoor is a commonly used website. Build awareness. Brands are about trust and must be true in order to appeal to millennials. They want authenticity. Some recruiting facts across the board that could be very helpful, not just to the public sector, but the private sector as well. Recruiting internally versus externally. Internal sourcing has cost advantages, is faster, and improves morale. Succession planning. Prepare your current employees to fill key positions when current employees leave. Telecommuting. 93% of employers say work from home programs benefit both parties. Online application issues. 50% of employers say the length of the job application process weeds out applicants, yet 60% of job seekers did not complete the application due to the length or complexity. As community centers, we are required through the Department of State Health Services to have an application versus a resume. So therefore, we do have some lengthy applications. However, we can make that process streamlined and as quick as possible by offering it as an online application rather than paper. Referral systems. 78% list referrals as the most effective source for targeting and hiring quality candidates. In the industry we're in, it is very crucial to have a referral system. Word of mouth is huge because it's free, it's fast with the millennials, and it speeds up the entire process. Next, rejecting job candidates matters. This is something that I found very interesting. When candidates are rejected in a dismissive manner or worse, if they never hear back from an employer at all, that news travels just as fast as word of mouth for an applicant. So make sure that whenever you conduct your interviews that you notify the candidates who are not selected and why. Potential candidates will find out either through word of mouth or social media. A generic response is better than no response. And do you give a generic response or give constructive feedback? Do you encourage them to apply for other positions within your agency? Conclusion. The research provides solid evidence-based practices that human resource departments can implement into their organizations through a creative lens. The research allows for streamlined processes, cost-effective strategies, and a platform to increase retention rates for community centers alike. The behavioral health industry is suffering as a whole in today's workforce, and the research allows for a better overall level of care for those suffering from a mental illness as a result of higher and competent staffing rates. Millennials will be more attracted to nonprofit behavioral health industries because they will see value in working for them by being part of a greater good, both internally and externally. Discussion. Nonprofits, governmental entities, should look at their overall image by creating a unique identity for themselves within their communities by leveraging social media to build their brand in order to recruit the millennial generation. Human resource departments must collaborate with management in order to train and develop recruiting strategies for a drastic culture shift within their organizations. All internal human capital must be on board and accepting of millennials as they enter the workforce. Thank you.